What is up, guys? We are here at the very first Casual Friday live show. I am seeing if we are going live on my channel, and then as soon as I can get the live stream going, I am going to try and link it there. I have no idea how this whole thing works, so if anyone comes to see, let's see. Let's see. No, I can't do two of these things. I'm trying to make this happen. All right. Well, I guess I have at least 2 viewers, even though I cannot find the actual thing itself. So I might as well get started on this. I want to start by letting the viewers who are seeing this after the fact know that, if you want to ask me any question for next week's Casual Friday, then do so in the comments on this video. I'm going to continue trying to figure out how the heck this darn thing works. Let's see. So I am going to go to my video manager and grab onto the comments for my last video. I apologize if I'm being kind of slow right now, because I'm still trying to figure out how the whole live streaming thing works. I'm going to this is going to take a little while. Y'all might want to nil around. You'd think that having been on as many live streams as I've been on, I would have some idea of how this works. Let's see. This really is just going to be me trying to figure out how to live stream for a second, because I thought I had it all figured out, and it's not actually appearing on my channel. Even though, let's see. Let's see. All right, I finally found my live event, and I can now actually link people to it, and we can get this whole thing started. Before I actually got into this video, I was checking out the drama that is unfolding between Roy St. Clair and Patrick Hoban. This is pretty funny stuff. They're kind of going hard at each other. I am going to link this event to some folks on the Facebook group. If you guys haven't checked out the Facebook group, it is called Business Casual Yu-Gi-Oh! And we are getting ready to go ahead and do some Q&A here. See if I can find my original post on Facebook. I want to get some people ready to go for this. And there we go. All right, let's get down to the actual Q&A portion, where I will start by reading off the Q&A questions from my last Casual Friday video, and I will answer them as I find them, kind of from newest to oldest based on when they were posted on the video. And then I will talk to you guys about the things that you guys talk to me about in the comments of this. However, I'm not seeing the possibility of commenting. I want to make sure that commenting is A-okay on this. Doesn't look like there is a whole lot of commenting available. If y'all want to comment, do so, I suppose, if you can. And if not, I will continue trying to get some comments going. Advanced settings. This has got to allow comments. Yeah, it's allowing comments. All right. Fair enough. Then I will stop worrying about how the heck to do this, and I will start actually doing it. All right. So once again, for those of you who are going to be watching this afterward, I am going to be answering any questions that happen after the live stream on my next Casual Friday video, which may be another live stream, depending on how well this goes. Now that I've actually figured out how to do live streaming, it took me a second. And for those of you guys who are watching right now, I am going to quickly go through a Q&A session from my last Casual Friday video. I am going to start. I'm going to be doing this oldest to newest because some of the newer questions I want to take a little more time to answer, and then I'm going to take a little bit to answer your questions that you asked me in the comment section of this video. Let's get started. We start with Selzy Yamuto, who asked, "Why do you not love me?" Well, Selzy Yamuto, I do not love you because your avatar is a cat with sunglasses on. Our next question is going to come from Banish for 2 turns, who asks, "In all seriousness, do you feel Skull Servants could be a competitive deck in the current format? They can get over just about anything with their high attack and never go into their extra deck, making them have a relatively good Shaddoll matchup, and they can abuse Wing Blast pretty effectively." All right, I've seen a lot of people talking about Skull Servants. There is, in fact, a guy on my Facebook group for the Vancouver area Yu-Gi-Oh players who talks about Skull Servants all the time. Simo's last video for the Next Great Yu-Gi-Tuber talked about Skull Servants. However, I haven't really thought about running them. I think it's because I feel like their strategy is really vulnerable. They may have a decent Shaddoll matchup because of their ability to run the Skull Servants, who can, make himself a colossal beater. But their matchups, I feel like, against other decks are not so hot, like against Burning Abyss and Satellar Knights, who have so many pieces of removal that it feels like, to me at least, the Skull Servant strategy is vulnerable enough that it won't be able to compete. That's kind of my thoughts on Skull Servants. I want to see if any of you guys have your own thoughts on Skull Servants. There are still no comments on this live stream, to my knowledge. Maybe I should refresh the page and see if that works. Still none of the comments are happening on this live event. Let me know what you guys think about Skull Servants in the comments, if it is at all possible to leave comments on this darn live stream. All right, we are moving on to Millajoe001, who asked 2 questions. First is, say M without touching your lips. I don't think that's a question, and I actually kind of wish that we were doing this in a setting where I could edit, because I would totally edit a voiceover of myself of me saying M. Whoa, oh, excuse me. While I'm not closing my lips. However, I cannot do that live. why should I be able to do it while people are watching? It's one of those special hidden powers. Also, he asked, what is your favorite Pokemon? My favorite Pokemon is Cyndaquil, because did you see what it did to Steelix in that one episode? That was some nasty stuff. Also, it's freaking adorable. It's like it's a mouse with fire coming out of its back. It's super cool. From Hades X736, we have, with the contest, is it USA only? No, it is only for citizens of the Earth, which may or may not include the United States, depending on how you view it. He also asked, with Battery Man, which do you prefer, the Control variant with the Thunder Seahorses and Hunters, or the OTK variant? I think I answered to this to some degree in my Rethinking Thunder video about Battery Men. I was just talking almost exclusively about the OTK variant because I feel like the Hunter variant is a little bit lackluster, particularly in the Shaddoll matchup. I think that the OTK ability of the OTK variant is the thing that makes Battery Men so strong. Their OTKs are really powerful and they're really fast. They can do it on their second turn like easily if they can get a microcell or something like that ready to go. So I feel like the OTK variant is a lot better. It's especially got a better Clipboard matchup and a better Shaddoll matchup. So I think that the Battery Men OTK variant is a lot better. I can only assume this person's name is pronounced Fatbucks, spelled Fatbuux. If I just butchered your name, please let me know in the comment section below. Says, what do you think are Mermail's worst matchups of this format? Why and how would you change the deck to compete? Well, actually, I am going to be doing a Mermail deck profile sometime, I believe, this weekend, I think. I actually have it ready to go. I have a lot of videos ready to go this weekend because I am going to be going up to Pullman to visit my girlfriend, and that's actually funny, and you'll see why in a little bit. But so I have a lot of videos to go, one of which is a Mermail deck, and in that Mermail deck, I am teching 2 copies of Malevolent Catastrophe. Now, the thing about Malevolent Catastrophe is it helps me in my worst matchups, which are basically all the matchups that run a lot of back row that can negate effect monster effects. Those being particularly Satellar Knights. Satellar Knights are a big issue for Mermails because of the degree to which they can negate my monster's effects. Like, I don't care about my monsters getting destroyed or deprisoned or what have you. I just care about them getting their effects off. So if a deck has a lot of cards devoted to negating monsters' effects, that's a big problem. So Malevolent Catastrophe helps with that because it allows me to clear my opponent's back row so that they don't have the ability to negate a bunch of effects. Maybe they'll be able to negate 1 or 2, and that's a-okay, but Malevolent Catastrophe can be a total blowout against decks like Yang Zing and Satellar Knights and things like that. It can take out multiple problem cards as opposed to like MST or something like that. Can't. I'm also running Lance. I'm considering taking out Lance for Trap Stun because Trap Stun seems to be able to be a bigger offensive card than Lance is, so it can protect my plays more effectively than Lance does. It also turns off Vanity's Emptiness, which Lance can't. So those are a couple of changes that I would make to my Mermail deck to help it compete against my best or my worst matchups. From Jalen or Halen Medina, I'm so good at butchering names. That's like my special talent. He says, be honest, did you think Burning Abyss was going to have as big an impact as it is having now? And what support for Burning Abyss do you think would benefit them most that is reasonable? Well, Virgil is pretty darn good. I'm not going to lie. No, I also did not think that Burning Abyss was going to do as well as they're doing. I thought they were totally made of fake advantage and they would have very little impact on the format, and boy was I wrong about that. I think that Virgil is really good, but if I were to make a piece of support for them that's reasonable myself, I think it would be a Birdman, so a level 3 Dark Fiend tuner who bounces a Burning Abyss monster or any Dark Fiend from your field to your hand to special summon it. That would be super cool because then you could like tour guide into a tour guide and then bounce one of the tour guides to synchro with the Birdman card, or you could like bounce an Xyz monster back to your extra deck. Like maybe if it doesn't have to be a cost to summon the monster, it's just like maybe it's part of the effect. So you like special summon and bounce something to your hand. I think that would be really beneficial for the deck because it would make their synchro plays super fast, and you could also summon it with like Graph and things like that. It would be really cool if they could get a Birdman tuner, and that would be excellent support for Virgil. Or maybe if they had like a Crane tuner that could summon Burning Abyss monsters from the graveyard upon its summon. That would be pretty cool. We have Yule Franz who asks, what now still banned card would have a positive impact on the future meta? Well, actually, if I had answered this question when I first got it, I would have said Glow Up Bulb, but now it's out, and I'm super happy. That probably doesn't actually have a positive impact on the future meta. But I really like that card. I think that it diversifies the meta. I think that it creates really more combo-based play, which I like a lot. And I just really like Glow Up Bulb as a card. I like the Plant Synchro engine, but I'm like, would it have a positive impact on the future meta? Probably not. Would it have a terrible impact on the future meta? Probably not. It's just a card I would like. I actually that I'm glad to have seen come back. If I had to choose something else from the ban list, I think would have a positive effect on the meta. There are a lot of cards that are either totally neutral or would be totally terrible to have come off. Like, I can't think of any cards that are currently banned that would be beneficial to the meta. I like, a lot of people talk about Heavy Storm being good for the game, but I think Heavy Storm is absolutely terrible for the game because it allows you to make plays without any consequences, and that's really terrible. The same is true of Giant Trunod, Cold Wave, anything like that. So I don't think those things could come off the ban list. Like I said, there are a lot of things that I wish would come off the ban list that are totally neutral, like Wind Up Zed Mighty, things like that. However, there aren't any things that I think would be bad or that would be good for the meta. And then what card would be directly hit? And after that, how is the position of Infernity? Well, I think the ban list answered that. I think Infernities are dead now that Archfiend is gone. Today I'm drinking Squirt, Ruby Red. I'm normally a huge snob about soda. I will only get like artisan sodas or whatever because I don't know. I normally don't like cheapo stuff, but I realized I'd never had Ruby Red Squirt, so I might as well try it. This is actually the first time in a really long time that I've done soda on Casual Friday. That used to be kind of the thing that I did. Anyway, we move on to Muhammad Aziz, who asks, what's the likelihood of Shaddolls getting a Miracle Fusion? If they did, would you pronounce them tier 0? Wow, ow, sunlight is happening right now. I'm going to turn off my auxiliary lamp here. I don't think the likelihood of Shaddolls getting a straight up Miracle Fusion is very high. I think that a conditional Miracle Fusion might happen. Like if they get a Miracle Fusion that your opponent has to have like a special summon monster from the extra deck or from the deck or from the graveyard or something like that on the field, like something your opponent has to do in order to make it a Miracle Fusion. I can see that happening. But I don't really see a straight up like hardcore Miracle Fusion becoming part of the Shaddoll arsenal. However, if it did happen, as you asked, I would like hands down, of course it would be tier 0. Are you kidding me? If Shaddolls could like mill a bunch of monsters to the graveyard and then Miracle Fusion them back, that would be no question that would make them tier 0. Because right now their main deck plays they're kind of because like in order to get their better effects, which are their flip effects, you have to basically use your normal summoner, summon them off of Falco. But if you could use multiples of their graveyard effects, so if you could just put a bunch of shadow monsters in the grave, use their graveyard effects, you can get some pluses off of that. You can get cool effects off of that, and then be able to like Miracle Fusion those things. Oh my goodness, that would be so good. Because it would mean that they have a one-card main deck play, which the deck right now really doesn't have unless your opponent has an extra deck monster on the board. In order for you to get a real power play out of Shaddoll Fusion, your opponent has to have an extra deck monster on the board. So right now they don't have any real one-card plays except for their boss monsters like BLS and Dark Armed and stuff like that. So what they need is better main deck plays. And actually I have a video coming up about why Shaddolls are probably going to fall out of favor during next Challenger because they don't have any new good main deck plays, and they've lost Super Poly, which was probably their best main deck one-card play. So I think that, yes, if they got a straight-up Miracle Fusion, of course they'd be tier 0. But I think what Konami's going to do, if they give them a Miracle Fusion-like card, is that they are going to give them one that's really conditional. Let's see. For the next Q&A, we have from Gentleman Studios HD, which really, really sounds like a porn company. We have, for the next Q&A, or just reply to this comment, thoughts on Blackwings and Agents. They're two of my favorite decks, and I want your opinions. Well, I love Agents. I'm not sure about Blackwings. I always thought they were a boring deck. But I like agents, and I don't think that even with Gale coming back, they're particularly competitive. I mean, Blackwings are. I don't think agents are particularly competitive, mostly because both of them have really vulnerable turn one plays. They can't do enough on their turn one a lot of the time in order to make their plays really explosive. Of course, Blackwings have their ability to put Shura and Whirlwind into a Key Beetle and Emptiness or something like that on the board, but like, for the most part, Blackwing's plays are not particularly excellent, especially this format, since they have to go to like the extra deck a lot of the time in order to make really solid plays. And for agents, like, their first turn plays are absolutely terrible. They have the best boss monsters in the game, don't get me wrong, like Christia, Hyperion, BLS, all of those things. Those are, like, they have the best boss monsters in the game, but their opening plays, their regular plays, the non-boss plays are pretty god-awful. Like, Venus summons a Gotchi. Great, you've got a 2,000 beater and a monster with an ass. Like, they don't do a whole lot except for their boss monsters. So that's why I think they're not particularly competitive. I like agents a lot, but I don't think that they can compete this format. We have from Silver Suppressor, who asks a rare question that doesn't have anything to do with Stratos. He says, are you a gamer? And if so, what do you play? No, I'm not actually a gamer. I've never owned a game console in my life. The only two video games that I played particularly religiously, except for a couple like Flash games, like I have N the Way of the Ninja, which is like an ancient Flash game on my computer, just because it's something fun to play while I'm listening to the news or whatever. I'm such a nerd listening to, I spend my spare time listening to the news. Anyway, I will play N or something like that, but the only two like hardcore video games that I actually played with any regularity for any period of time were Star Wars Battlefront 2, because that game was amazing, and the very first Halo. I love both of those games, and I played them a ton. However, other than those, I have never really played a video game with any regularity. I'm not a gamer in any sense of the phrase. I just don't enjoy them enough in order to take up as much time as they take out of my life in order to play them. From Angel Ford Donger, whose name I am absolutely certain that I butcher every time I say it, we have two questions. The first is, I notice a lot of Satellar Knights aren't playing Honest. Thoughts on why some players would decide to skip out on what seems like such a powerful card? Well, okay, so I think that the reason why Satellar Knight players do not run Honest is because they want their Denebs in the graveyard. It's as simple as that. Like, so if you think about this, so you summon a Deneb in an attack position, you get the search off of it. If your opponent attacks that Deneb and you drop an Honest, you get a 1-for-1. You get to deal a little bit of damage. But then what happens next turn? You're still stuck with the Deneb. You're still waiting for that Deneb to get destroyed. But if the Deneb goes to the graveyard, next turn you can summon that Deneb with Altair, and then you can use that Deneb to get another Altair to prepare for another Altair play next turn. As opposed to when you Honest, then you're sitting on just a Deneb that you have to wait for it to get destroyed before you can use it again. So you use a 1-for-1 that actually slows down your strategy. It's a super counterintuitive deck in that way, in that you really want your cards to be destroyed in order to use them to the greatest potential. So we have the second question. It says, thoughts on Mass Chameleon and Archfiend Eater in Yang Zing? I think Mass Chameleon is pretty necessary to the deck. I think that it's basically mandatory. Archfiend Eater is interesting. I might run it as a 1-of. I wouldn't run it in multiples, mostly just because the deck doesn't need any more field presence. What that deck does really well is field presence. Field presence is what Yang Zings do. It's the way they win is by beating you with field presence, having a card on the board that doesn't allow you to get any plays, and then they put a big boss monster on the board like, I don't know, Go-Yo that can't be affected by traps, and they start running you down with that. So I think that Archfiend Eater, it does not help them make any plays that they couldn't make before, in my opinion. So that's how I feel. Mass Chameleon is mandatory. Archfiend Eater might be decent as a 1-of. From Sam Chung, with Cliff Orts coming, more specifically Killer, do you think Konami will be sensible and actually give us a viable counter to it, or ban or limit it before it drops? Do you think they'll just let it break the game and ruin Yu-Gi-Oh! For a lot of people? Okay. So first of all, I keep saying this over and over and over again. Killer is not the problem in Cliff Orts. If your opponent is summoning an Apocalypse Killer, you already should have lost the game. You should have been OTK'd. You should have been just totally run down with their monsters. Apocalypse Killer is like the epitome of win more cards. So like if you have the ability to go for an Apocalypse Killer, you should have enough advantage that you're winning the game already. So if you're losing to an Apocalypse Killer, it's because you didn't stop their plays when you should have, and the Apocalypse Killer really isn't your issue. Yes, it's an amazing closer card, and of course I would run it as like a one of. But I'm like, Cliffords are not going to be focusing on Apocalypse Killer because that's not the main win condition of the deck. The win condition of the deck is skill drain, emptiness, and a field full of beaters, and the ability to OTK extremely easily. So no, Konami is not going to hit Killer, and they're not going to give us a simple counter because we already have enough simple counters. We have Crimson Blader, we have Cyber Dragon, we have, I mean, any number of things that immediately stop a what? What is going on? I just got flipped over to my live stream, which is attempting to flip me over to my Galaxy Photon deck. I'm not certain exactly what's going on here. Just a moment. Anyway, so I don't think, yeah, so there are a ton of like one card counters out there for Apocalypse Killer. You don't need any new ones. I mean, I don't know how I can say it more clearly. And Konami, of course, is not going to hit it. I mean, they can't anymore, seeing as the ban list already came out. But you guys get the idea. Oh, geez. Something really screwy is going on here. I have to go over to my Casual Friday video from last week so that I can give you guys more Q&A questions from last week. I apologize for the delays. Once again, this is my very first live stream, and so we are going to be getting some very interesting technical difficulties. I'm still not seeing the comment section on my live stream. I'm just going to switch over to my YouTube channel itself and see if I can. Oh, you know what's going on? I am an absolute jerkface because I know exactly where the comments are on this video. Or at least I know where they should be. Come on, show me the comments. They're up on the right-hand side because I'm not a particularly smart person, apparently. Okay, let's get back to the Q&A. Oh, man, I'm sorry, you guys. I am a total idiot when it comes to tech stuff. The fact that I'm relied on to do tech stuff in my family is kind of depressing because I am like the worst person when it comes to technology. Even like simple stuff when I'm going online gets me. I am the biggest old person when it comes to technology and the internet. Let's see. All right, so let's get another Q&A question going here. We are still going through my last Q&A video. We have from Wheezy Life 90383 asks, any chance of sharing the Gladiator Beast profile? Yes, 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 that is a profile that I've been wanting to do. I'm not certain if I have all of the cards that I want for my ultimate, like my final Gladiator Beast deck profile for the coming format. I have to really check. I don't have a Ready Yari, and Ready Yari has been really important to me on Dueling Network, but that's one of the really important cards. So I'm going to see if I can do a Gladiator Beast deck profile in real life, but if I can't, I'll give you guys the deck profile over Dueling Network, you know, just so that you guys have it. Let's see. From the Black Knight Gamer, we have, hey RJ, I like your channel, and if you have time, I'd like to talk a bit more. I've sent you a PM. Oh, and this is the guy. Okay, I've been getting a lot of requests from these like conglomerate network things, and they want me to join their networks, and it's getting kind of tiresome. And that was a Q&A question about me joining a network, and the answer is no. I'm not going to join any networks. Why? Well, because they're focused on growth, and growth is not something I actually really particularly give a damn about on my channel. I want to make my content, of course, accessible to more players. Like I want it to be the kind of thing that more people want to watch, but I don't want to like grow my channel for the purpose of growing my channel. I do this for fun. I do this as actually a lot of this has to do with training for my future career because I am planning on being a webcast journalist. So I am figuring out the ins and outs of running an online channel and just kind of getting some hands-on experience with running a news show, which this, I suppose, kind of is. It's a little more of a news discussion show, but you guys get the idea. So that's why I'm running this channel, and that's why I'm not going to join your conglomerate network, all of you talent agents who are out there. They even call themselves talent agents. It's really strange. All right. Next, we have from Slushy FTK. Ooh, stuff about chain beat. Can you please do another chain beat video? The ability to main macro, defizz, or banisher makes it a solid contender in this format. Banisher can be revived off Garden, which is nice. What are your thoughts on Trap Tricks, Engine, and Chain Beat? Okay, so my thoughts on Chain Beat this format, especially with, okay, so Raigeki coming out might actually make Chain Beat viable again, because now they have, let's see, they have 3 win conditions again. They used to have 2 this format. When they were really good, they had 3, and those 3 were your 2 torrentials and your dark hole. Now they have 2. They have torrential, they have dark hole, and they have Raigeki. So they have 3 field clearing cards, and with Black Garden, one words. I'm bad at them today. The 1 field clearing card can actually do you a lot of good, because you have emptiness and then a field clearing card, then you can clear the field and then activate your emptiness and your opponent can't special summon. If you have Black Garden, then you can use a field clear and then your opponent has to put monsters on the board at lower attack that you can just run over and give you tokens and things that you can use to fuel things like needle sealing, which is another good win condition. So I think actually, especially with Raigeki in the game, Chain Beat can do really well. I think Banisher is an amazing card this format. It's going to be really terrible after next challengers because Cliff Forts are just going to mess it up pretty hard. However, I think for the time being, Chain Beat could be pretty good. So he also asked about the Trap Tricks engine. Now, the Trap Tricks engine is interesting because a couple of formats ago, I would have said, of course, run your Mermailios. Mermailio is an amazing card in Chain Beat normally. However, Mermailio gets out a lot of totally unuseful cards when it comes to this format. It gets cards like Bottomless and like, what's it called? Trapple Nightmare. It can get Void Trapple, which is pretty good. And I suppose Time Space Trapple is all right, but it's not amazing this format. I don't know. There are there are just a lot more optimal things you could do with the Chain Beat deck than use the Trap Tricks engine. From Smashing Pumpkin. What motivates you to continue playing this game? What do you think would be a cool concept or theme for an upcoming archetype? Okay, number 1 question is what motivates me to continue playing this game? Let's see. There are a couple of answers to that. One of them is this YouTube channel. I really enjoy doing things on YouTube. I love YouTubing. I'm really enjoying the next great YouTuber, and I like a lot of the people who I talk to on YouTube. And actually, that has a lot to do with the rest of why I continue playing this game. Which is I like the people. I like talking to the people who play Yu-Gi-Oh! I realize that there's this huge stereotype out there that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, especially good Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, are absolute asses. But a lot of the people that I know who play Yu-Gi-Oh! Are awesome people, and I actually love talking to them. However, also a lot of the players who I know are really big in gaming, and like, once again, I'm not a big gamer, so like if I'm not talking to them about Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't have a huge number of other topics. I was super happy to find out that a couple of my friends who play Yu-Gi-Oh! Really like cooking and music and stuff like that, because those are things that I'm really into, but just like the interaction between people is a really fun way to have a social experience, you know, a regular social experience at your locals, just playing for every week. That's really nice. I also enjoy the game. I like the game. I like making new decks. I like playing in the meta. I really enjoy playing competitively. I'm sorry that I live in an area where we don't get to do that very often. We get very few competitive events in the greater Northwest area, and that kind of makes me sad, particularly not ones that are, you know, within a 5-hour drive of where I live. Most competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Events that I can go to are at the very least in Seattle, which is like 4 hours away. The other one's in Spokane, which is like 6 hours away. So I don't get to do as much competitive play as I'd like to do, but I really do enjoy playing competitively. And then the other question was, what do you think would be a cool concept or theme for an upcoming archetype? So you guys have heard me talk about this before. I really think that there should be a burn-based deck that is non-degenerate and competitive. And the way that you do that is you do it through monster effects that have to interact with your opponent in order to get their burn. I apologize for the sound of the phone going off in the background. I'm going to ignore it for now. I don't have a huge amount of time left for the rest of the stream. It's going to be another like 20 minutes or so, and I have to go. But continuing on, so the upcoming archetype that has a non-degenerate competitive burn engine. So I really like the idea of burn decks, and I think that since its effect damage is a part of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, it is something that it is a mechanic that Konami specifically gave us when the game first came out, to be able to burn your opponent for effect damage. And it makes me really sad that the only decks that effectively do burn damage are either non-competitive decks or they're totally degenerate. And so the archetype that I was thinking was you'd use monster effects, one of which is like a summoner monk, one is like a Flamvell Fire Dog, there's one that's like a Karakuri, and like then they'd have synchro and boss monsters involved, and each of them has a very basic, decent effect, not like totally broken effect, but what makes the archetype good is it also deals a not like huge amount of burn damage for each effect, but it deals some burn damage with each effect, so it actually makes the deck really fast in beating the opponent. So you've got decent effects that each do a little bit of burn damage that whittle away at your opponent's life points while you try to gain advantage over your opponent. So I think that is a super cool idea for an archetype, and I'd really love to see Konami do something with that. And we have from Leo Reyes, I'm not trying to be mean, but you show off some feminine features, and I was wondering if you're gay. Oh boy, okay, this will take a second. This is actually why I was saying it was funny that I'm going to visit up my girlfriend this weekend. So that gives you guys the answer to the first part of that question, I suppose. That no, I'm not gay. But I want to address the rest of this question because there are some interesting things that I need to point out. The very first thing is that just because somebody shows off feminine features, I mean, not just me, but like other people, does not necessarily immediately mean that they're gay. I think that's just kind of a silly stereotype. Another thing is that I suppose it's really funny that I don't have my like charm necklace that I usually wear for Casual Friday on right now, since I'm getting asked this question. But the other thing is that like you say that it's mean, like you don't want to be mean, but I don't see what's mean about pointing out that somebody shows off feminine features. I'm sure this sounds super defensive since I wear a charm necklace and I like dressing in pretty nice suits and ties and stuff like that. But like, I don't see why it's bad, because like the idea of something being bad to show off feminine features seems to me like people say that it's like bad to be like a woman, and I don't think that it is necessarily, because there's nothing wrong with being a woman. It's also not mean to say that a person might be gay, because there's also nothing wrong with people being gay. So I think that's a little bit of a silly social construct, so you shouldn't have had to have said that that you're not trying to be mean, because it's not a mean thing to ask. Now, asking a person about their sexuality is usually something that you don't do, but, you know, that's just, you know, I really have no idea how to respond to this question after this. The funny thing is that I may not be gay, however, in the interest of, since it was actually Bisexual Awareness Week last week, or maybe it's this week. Anyway, I think that it is important for me to address the problem of bisexual invisibility. I'm being a little bit of a flaming lib right here, I understand, and you guys don't want to hear me editorializing about this thing. But I suppose the simple term for me is bisexual, and that's like, it's simple, but it's inaccurate. I suppose the accurate, that's the more complex description, is pansexual. I don't like that word because it's become kind of an internet buzzword, but it's a word for it. It just kind of means that you're attracted to people regardless of their gender. Like you aren't attracted to people of two different genders. You're attracted to people despite their gender. Like, gender has absolutely no factor, which means that if a person is like transgender or is genderqueer or agendered, then you can be attracted to that. But it basically means you're attracted to people. There are not really any rules to it, but that's kind of how it works. So just kind of in the interest of trying to break down bisexual invisibility, I just want to put that out there. I don't mean to be really awkward and give you guys a whole bunch of TMI and sit on my soapbox, but I mean, since the question was asked, I figured, especially since like there's this weird stereotype about a lot of nerds being gay, and like, and at the same time, there's a really weird stigma against gay Yu-Gi-Oh players out there, and we use a lot of really anti-gay language in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. So I mean, whatever. Let's move on to something that doesn't require me to be angry at the world Let's move on to Enarch's Keeper, who is saying he plays a pure Karakuri OTK version, similar to the one I showed back in July. Do you have any advice for making the deck stronger? And as you see it, one of the deck's weaknesses. So the problem with pure Karakuri is that they're like a one-trick pony. They go off, and if they don't go off, they lose. And there are a lot of ways of stopping the pure Karakuri OTK. And so I actually think we should focus on our we should focus our mentality on an older format in which we use Karakuri Machina plants. That was actually a super cool deck that was tier 1 a long time ago. It was an amazingly explosive deck, and it had a wide diversity of plays that didn't require you to go off with specifically the Karakuri OTK. Now, it does require you to diversify your strategy a little bit, and you may not like that because some people just like having pure decks, which I personally don't understand, but I mean, people do that. But I think that it improves the deck because it gives it a greater diversity of plays. From Slate Warrior, he asks, opinions on Time Seal. Can it come back? Why or why not? Anything to be worried about besides Massive Darkness and the Tsukiyomi loop? I think, well, since the ban list came out, I have to kind of talk about this in the far future. If Time Seal came back, I wouldn't be worried about the Tsukiyomi loop. There are so many ways of stopping that. But like, I don't like it because it has the potential to be a problem. Like, there's a possibility that a person, like, you can get knocked out of a regional because one guy got lucky and you didn't get any of your outs to it. And because there's so many outs in this game, that it's going to be a totally sacky thing. Like, there's a possibility of abuse but if you draw badly, if your opponent draws excellently, and they get that lockdown on you, there's no way out of it. You can be the most skilled player in the world, but if you never get to draw, then you don't get to find your outs to the deck, and that could be a huge issue for the game and just for people playing competitively. So I don't want to see Time Seal come back. I don't see any reason why it would come back, other than the fact that there is supposedly an agreement with Konami that they legally have to bring back every card that's on the ban list at some point or other, not like all at the same time, but at some point, all cards that are currently forbidden or every card, not all cards, every card that is currently forbidden must at some point become legal for use. Here we go. We are finally getting the comments for this video coming into my live stream. Let's see if I can see more comments. Let's see, Slate Warrior says, I'd sit on your soapbox any day, RJ. Well, that's an interesting comment, seeing as we just had this conversation about me being an absolute queer. Let's see. What does this ... do? Oh, hey, those are the new comments. That's what the ... does. Ooh, the wonders of Asian Eyes is also streaming. Such bad timing. I don't worry about competing with Asian Eyes. My content's way better than his anyway. I'd compete with him on a live stream any day. Besides, I feel like a lot of players who are watching YouTube right now have seen Asian Eyes live streaming. They've seen him dueling. So, like, people are wanting something new, and so I think people are going to come to see this live stream, as evidenced by, the wondrous 27 people who are watching at this moment. More comments we have from Red Golem 92. Do Infernoids remind anyone else of rulers? I haven't actually looked at them, but they do have a lot of special summoning characteristics and a lot of different effects, so it is possible that they look a little bit like rulers, but they're not nearly as broken as the dragon rulers. Like, they've got a lot of really good effects, don't get me wrong, but but yes. I don't know how to respond to that. I haven't read enough. That's the problem with me doing live Q&A, is there are a lot of these questions that I don't have a huge bank of knowledge to answer, so I need to take a little time to do some research before I can answer them properly. We have a lot of people saying that they don't see the comment section. For those of you who are watching live stream, if you want to see the comment section, it's on the right side of the video up in the corner. Mine just finally loaded after like 20 minutes of Q&A. So I am just starting to read the comment section. Squirt's not bad. I've never had it before, but it's not bad. I'm usually a total soda snob, but it's actually kind of an A-OK soda. With synchro summoning now being more promoted, this is Bogey King 57 asking, by the way, do you think we could see a comeback of Chain Beat? I think, I was just talking about Chain Beat a little bit. I think that synchro summoning, yes, that is definitely vulnerable to Chain Beat. But I think really the thing that Chain Beat is going to benefit most from is having more plays. Their big issue so far recently has been that they haven't had a lot of plays of their own. They used to have a ton of plays back before everything got limited back in September, the last September, I suppose. So I think that having more plays is really what's helping people. To do better with Chain Beat. Yes, I am agreeing with Caleb Connor that Trap Stun is better than Lance in water, and I am moving on from João Cesar. Oh goodness, I am so sorry if I am messing up anybody's names. Yes, Wolf at 3, Fire Kings, good or bad? I don't know. I'll have to test. I was having fun with Fire Kings with Wolfbark at 1. But I think with Wolfbark at 2, the deck may have more plays. The big issue, once again, is their Shaddoll matchup. I've seen, because I've been playing it against the meta for a while, I've seen that one of the big problems is that their cards get like spun back to the top of their deck. There are just so many outs to things like Yaksha and Garunix now that the deck is super vulnerable. You have to run a lot of Trap Stunners and like and things like Lance in order for the deck to do particularly well, or maybe something like be able to get Circle more quickly than you do right now. Let's see. By the way, Infinite Pez, yes, I am now asking or answering questions from this current comment section. Let's see. Nazni says he's not a vampire, or is he? Well, I guess the fact that I just sat here with the sun shining bright in my face, I don't know, was I glittering? I wasn't watching. But I don't think that I could possibly be a vampire if I was enjoying the sun that much. What do you think about Fire or Ice Hand? I'm getting this from Neo9. I think that Fire and Ice Hand are really good. I don't think they're particularly broken, especially now that we are in a format that's almost exclusively made up of floaters. Those cards they're just not too hot anymore. There are so many floaters in this current format that Fire and Ice Hand aren't doing a whole lot. And that's why I don't think that they got hit, because I don't think Konami sees them as a threat at all. And I think that's also why Wolfbark came back on this list, was because Konami just doesn't see Fire Fist as a threat or Fire Kings as a threat, because we have like a year's worth of support coming for a bunch of decks that don't give a damn about their cards being destroyed. So that's why I think the Fire Hand and Ice Hand did not get hit. Sorry, Slate Warrior just said, ooh, I have some inside info on that Glad deck. It's the only deck RJ can win with. Oh, man. This comes from a live stream a few days ago. Or maybe it wasn't a live stream. It was just me and Slate Warrior. We were Skyping, and I was playing with Gladiator Beast, and I was X7 on Dueling Network with a bunch of different decks, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to play Glad Beast. This is the worst deck that I have. And then that was the only deck that I could start winning matches with. I just kept losing up until I started playing Glad Beast. So that's really funny. From Jason By, are we allowed to trade here? I don't know. I guess you can try. From Slate Warrior, who's your favorite small YouTuber besides RJ? Besides myself, I don't know. I really like, I guess you can't really call Speedy Steve a small YouTuber now. He isn't, and he hasn't posted videos in a while because YouTube did some really nasty things to him. And I hope that it wasn't trolls trying to take down his YouTube channel, because that would be so stupid. I don't like people who flag videos and channels just because, I don't know, they want to see people's reactions. Like, I realize that their goal is to make people not like them, but I think that's a little silly. You're basically ruining a person's, like, a lot of work that a person put into a channel. Like, if you were doing all that work, like if you had like I have like 360 videos, that's a lot of hours of work that that person put in, and now you're going to flag it just so that those videos can get taken off for a little bit of entertainment. That makes you a loser and an asshole. So cheers to that. Other than that, now that I've gone on that little rant, my other favorite small YouTuber, I'd have to say, I don't know if you guys have heard of Kogurasho. I keep recommending his channel or her. We actually have never heard this person's voice or their face, or heard their face. Anyway, but Kogurasho is really fun because they do a lot of interesting, like really creative decks, and they're things that I would never have guessed. Like there was a deck that was like, it was Labradorite Dragon Turbo, or Labradorite Dragon Turbo, where they would use Dragard and Labradorite Dragon and what's it called, Level Eater, to like spam the field with Underground Arachnids, and that's super cool because Underground Arachnid has an Ancient Gear effect when it attacks, and it can also eat your opponent's monster, so you can summon the Underground Arachnid and equip it. Anyway, it's super cool channel. I will try to link it in my next Casual Friday video, or if I have some chance, I'll give you guys a link to Kogurasho's channel. It's spelled K-O-G-A-R-A, K-O-G-A-R-A-S-H-O. That's Kogurasho. Really great channel. I really enjoy them. Nazni says that his favorite channel is Simo. I really like Simo. It's really funny. I have a lot of good friends on YouTube who I don't usually recommend because I realize that I talk about their channel all the time. So like I feel like I want to give some of the other channels that I'm subscribed to a chance to get a leg up. And I suppose I talk about Simo a lot, so I feel like it seems a little silly for me to give another shout out to Simo. But you know what? Hell with it. Here's another shout out to Simo. That is Simo with 8 O's if you want to look it up. He's a great guy. I'm great friends with him. He was another contender in the next great YouTuber. I'm super bummed that he got eliminated, but that's the nature of this contest. There are just a lot of people in it, and a lot of people that I like who are in it, and a lot of people have to get eliminated from the contest. So I can't, I can't have all of my friends in the next great YouTuber top. Let's see, from Jason By, my friend told me that it sucks to be a woman. Well, I mean, to be fair, there are a lot of really big disadvantages to it in our current society. Oh God, I'm doing it again. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to get on my big, like, flaming lib progressive soapbox, but like, I mean, there are a lot of disadvantages. There, women get a bad rap in the workplace and in a lot of, like, in our popular culture, really bad to them. I mean, men get a lot of disadvantages in like court and things like that. But I mean, there are ups and downs. So I'm going to move on and talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Instead of about social issues, because I mean, I could talk about for hours about social issues because I'm a journalist. So I look at the world a lot, and I want to talk about it a lot. And if somebody gets me started talking about politics and world issues and the news, I am just going to keep talking about it forever. So I need to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! From Bogey King 57. Do you think that Wolf Market 3 will make +1 Fire Fist a contender again? Like I said, bear is not an issue for the meta. You can bear your opponent and then they're going to do whatever the hell they want to the next turn, because the meta is made out of floaters. Like, even if you hit a Deltaros, well, Deltaros is going to summon something, but if you hit a Deneb with Bear, they're just going to alter it back later. So like, Bear has no effect on the meta. The way to be a contender in this meta is to stop special summoning or to stop your opponent from activating monster effects. Those are the only ways for you to do competitive things in this current meta. Monster effects are the most important thing in this current format. So, Nazni would also go gay for me. Well, I mean, if you insist. Let's see. We have Oh, geez, all the comments are suddenly coming in. Look at them go. Look at the comments go. They are going crazy. We've had from Onyx Knight. Any thoughts on the new Dragoonity support? So the Dragoonity Spear is okay. I don't think that it's the support that they needed. It's actually kind of something. It's almost exactly what I was joking about with the people on the live stream the other day. That it would be like a Rhoda that sends dragons from your deck to your grave. But it's not quite, because it doesn't allow you to search out things like ducks or however you pronounce that. I've heard people say like do, since it looks like it's in French, whatever. Anyway, the level 4, like you really need to be able to access your Dragoonity monsters from your deck, not just be able to pitch your phalanxes and things like that. So I don't think it's the support that Dragoonity needed. They also need to be able to make more extended plays. They need more combos. They need a bigger variety, because as it is, they're kind of a one-trick pony. Let's see. Slate Warrior also says, would you play Time Seal in every deck? I mean, sure, why not? Actually, you know what? That's an interesting question, because there are some combo decks that really don't like simplifying their own game state. They don't like running out of cards as a one-for-one. So I could see it being played in like a lot of control decks, a lot of non-combo based decks, like especially really toolboxy ones. Like I could see like Satellar Knights playing it, but I can't see Mermails playing it, because it basically doesn't improve the game state in their favor. So I think Time Seal would not be a staple. The difference between like Time Seal and something like Trap Dust Shoot is Trap Dust Shoot, you get to gain information from your opponent's hand, and you get to choose which card goes back to their deck. Let's see. Oh, geez, I'm getting attacked with comments from One Fire Up the. Okay. What do you think of Hazy Flames or the Hazy Beast decks? I feel like they don't do enough. I feel like they really rely on their normal summon, and then like if they lose their first play, they lose all of their plays. They don't have enough monsters that really generate any kind of advantage. Don't get me wrong, Basilitrice is a freaking amazing card, but the rest of their cards are kind of lackluster. I think Cerberus is okay, but like it's only really decent under Skill Drain in my opinion. So I don't know. I think the Hazy Flames need more support that can generate advantage. They need to be an engine. And as it is, they're just like a single combo with a couple of searchers. Let's see. Can you do some duels with your Dino Rabbit build or an old spinoff on an old meta deck? Yes, I would probably do some duels with Dino Rabbit. I don't really like doing dueling network duels because they take a really long time to upload, because they just tend to be long. I can do like speed it up by a few times and then do some post-com if you guys want to see that. But generally, I don't like doing dueling network duels, and for some reason, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro just isn't working on my computer anymore. I'm going to try and get Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro going back, but I mean, whatever. Keegan Brown also asked, thoughts on Jeff Jones's 20-monster 20 Trap Burning Abyss deck? I mean, it looked like it worked for him. I think that seeing him run Trap Stun reminded me, like, I've been thinking about how good Trap Stun is this format. Trap Stun is freaking amazing because it allows you to turn off your own Vanity's Emptiness. It means your opponent can't respond to any of your plays except for like with Super Poly or with hand traps or something like that. So I think that Trap Stun is really amazing. I think that was a stroke of genius on Jeff Jones's part. I'm not certain about not running spells, but I can see why you wouldn't want to run spells like MST. I don't think Burning Abyss really needs Soul Charge, so like that eliminates the two staple spells for this format. So I mean, I don't see why he would need to run spells in his deck. So 20 monsters, 20 traps is just fine. Slate Warrior says, what is your opinion on Republicans? I'm not going to get into that. I said that I'd just talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! From now on, because I will talk forever about politics. All right, I only have like a couple of minutes. I have dinner coming up very, very soon. I've been invited to go out to dinner with my uncle and aunt, so that's going to be really nice. So I am just going to answer a couple of more questions, and then next week I'm going to try and do a bigger live stream. Maybe I'll do another live stream when I get back. You guys should let me know if I should continue the Casual Friday live stream when I get back from dinner. That may be fairly late in the evening, so you might not get to see it. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow morning. Who knows? So let's get down to my last couple of questions from the comment section. I'll try to get to the ones I didn't answer in this comment section during my next Q&A video. Oh, from Gosdy, any deck you would advise for a broke hardcore Infernity player? I don't know, Evil Swarms? Evil Swarms, I said in my next great YouTuber video that they're the fallout shelter for budget players. So that's why I am recommending them. Let's see, from Jason By, do you have mermaid stuff? I don't have mermaid stuff. Mermaids are not real. Oh, geez. I can't stop the comments. Anyway, okay, one more question. What, no, wait, I already did Hazy Flames. What do you think about Plant Synchro for this format? I'm actually, the reason why I'm excited for Glow Up Bulb is because I absolutely love Plant Synchro. And I don't actually think that it's going to be amazing this format because they didn't get any of their better non-tuner engines back. So they don't have a lot of ways of making their really big plays. Of course, they still, to some degree, have Soulfire because Soul Charge is in the game. They have some ways of bringing back their plays. They still have Scapegoat, and now they have Scapegoat at 3. So they have like Scapegoat to produce non-tuner monsters, but that's about it. Until I see a really good non-tuner engine that the deck can take take advantage of, I don't see Plant Synchro doing anything huge. I suppose there's like the baby Chaos Dragons, but somebody would have to prove to me that will work really well. I've seen, so like the baby Chaos Dragons I've been saying are like the new Tengu, so I can see them doing something. I think I might test that, but I'm not certain that Plant Synchro really have the power of this format to do a huge amount, even though they're one of my favorite archetypes ever, and I think that they're going to be splashed into just a ton of different things. So there you guys go. That is the live stream for this week. I'm going to try and see if I can extend it after dinner. If you guys send me enough comments wanting me to extend it after dinner, it might take a little while. Like I might be back at 7 Pacific, but we'll see. So if I don't see you guys after this, then I will see you guys during my next Casual Friday and my next few videos, including a Mermail deck profile that's coming up. I am uploading an opening. I'm going to be talking about why I think that Shaddolls are going to be falling out of favor next format. And then that is what I have for you guys. So I hope you guys like this video. I suppose you can still thumbs up it if you like. And all of you seem to be subscribers, so I'm not going to do that usual thing. Oh, for those of you who haven't already, who I suppose are still watching this live stream, do click on the link that I give you guys in the I Need Your Help video, or you can just go to Underworld6667's channel and support me in the next great YouTuber. Give me a thumbs up on that video, and that would be super helpful. So thank you guys for showing up for this live stream. This was really just a test. I'm sorry I couldn't have it go any longer, but I will try to do so next week. I got a jet. See you guys.